Alright, so this video we're going to look at end behavior of a polynomial. So basically what this means is what we want to know is as we move this way on the x-axis to infinity, we want to know what the y value is doing. So as the x values move out to infinity, is the graph going up like this or is it going down? Okay, that's what we're looking for. And then the same thing this way, as we move to negative infinity, is the graph going up or is the graph going down? Okay, so as we go to infinity on the x-axis, is y going to infinity or negative infinity? As we go to negative infinity on the x-axis, is y going to infinity or negative infinity? So that's what we'll be looking for with this. That's what they mean when they say the end behavior. All right. So I don't know how the book does it that you're doing it. I've seen it in several books how they write it. That they'll write something like as x goes to the right, y increases or something like that. I just do it as x goes to infinity is y going to infinity or negative infinity and so on. Okay, so let's look at this here. Let's look at the first one. We've got the polynomial here. So we want to say as x goes to infinity, okay, f of x, which is the same thing as y, is going to what? Is it going to infinity or is it going to negative infinity? All right. So when we do this, all we look at is the term with the largest exponent, which in this case is a cubed. So we don't care about anything after that. All we care about is the first term right here. That's all we care about. All right, so I've got a positive 5 in front. Okay, so now let's look at the x value. Okay, if I plug in numbers out there at infinity, they're going to be positive. They're going to be big numbers. And I take one of those large positive numbers and I raise it to infinity. I'm going to have what? A positive times a positive times a positive, right? I'm multiplying three positive numbers together. And that's going to give me an answer that is positive. You see that? A positive times a positive is positive, times this positive would be positive. Okay? All right. So that means if I raise a number out at positive infinity to the third power, I'm going to get another number at positive out there at positive infinity. So that means as x goes to infinity, f of x is also going to infinity. Okay. Now let's look at it the other way. As x goes to negative infinity, well, where's f of x going? So I'm plugging in numbers out there at negative infinity. They're all negative. So, and I'm raising it to the third power. So that's going to be a negative times a negative times a negative. Well, the negative times negative here is a positive, and then a positive times a negative is going to give me a negative answer. Okay? So, and then that negative answer times positive 5 is negative also. So that's going to give me a number at negative infinity. So that means f of x would be going to negative infinity. Okay. All right, so now let's look at this one. All right, so what's the largest exponent here? Okay. So the largest exponent here would be what? That's going to be x to the 11th. Okay, so let me show you how I get that. Well, if we take this, x squared minus 3 times x squared minus minus 3 times x squared minus 3 times x squared minus 3. If I multiply this out, x squared times x squared is x to the 4th times x squared is x to the 6th, and x to the 6th times x squared is x to the 8th. So that would give me the x to the 8th here. And then if I do x plus 2 times x plus 2, look at that, x plus 2 times x plus 2, and that's going to, when I multiply those x's, that's going to give me an x squared, so that would make this an x to the 10th. Alright, so that would give me the x to the 10th. And then times this x, x to the 1st, remember you add the exponents, so that would give me x to the 11th. Alright, so let's look at this. So we're going to do, alright, so let's look at this. So as x goes to infinity, f of x is going to what? Alright, so I got a positive number. I'm raising it to the 11th power. So if you raise a positive number to the 11th power, you're going to get a positive number back. Okay? And so the positive number to the 11th is positive times this negative 4. See, the negative 4 is going to be out in front. So times the negative 4, that's negative. So this would be negative infinity. Okay? Because remember, it's the negative 4 times this, x to the 11th. Okay? All right. So let's look at the going to negative infinity. So as x goes to negative infinity, well, if I take a negative number and I raise it to the 11th power, well, if you raise a negative number to an odd power, you get a negative back, right? Just like if you raise it to the 3rd, a negative times a negative is positive, times another negative is negative. And you can see that would work the same as raising it to the 5th, the 7th, the 9th, and in this case the 11th power. All right, so when I raise that number out there at negative infinity, so I've got a negative number to the 11th is negative, times the negative 4 is positive. So that would be positive infinity. Okay. All right, so let's look here. So remember, I'm just looking at the number, at the term with the largest exponent. In this case, it's 5x to the 6th. So I don't care about anything else. All right, so as x goes to infinity, well, what does f of x go to? Well, if I raise a positive number to an even exponent, that's positive. Okay, and so that's a positive times the negative 5, which is negative, so that means this would be going to negative infinity. And then as x goes to negative infinity, let's see what f of x does. All right, so I've got a negative number and I'm raising it to an even power. So you know, anytime you raise a negative number to an even exponent, that's going to give you a positive. Okay, so then I have the positive times this negative 5 is negative, so that's negative infinity. All right, so now let's look at this one. So what is this? Well, look, if I multiply all this out, my largest exponent is going to be x cubed, right? X cubed. If I multiply this out, it's going to be what? X squared. And then this is x. So this is x to the 1st times x squared times x cubed. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. So the leading exponent is going to be an x to the sixth, and then don't forget about the positive 2 in front. So that's the term I'm looking at. Okay, see this one up here had a negative 4 in front. All right, so as x goes to infinity, f of x goes to what? Well, if I'm raising a positive number to an even power, okay, that gives me positive, and a positive times positive 2 is positive, so that would be going to positive infinity. And then as x goes to negative infinity, well, let's see what f of x does. Okay, so I've got a negative number I'm raising to the sixth power. So a negative number to the sixth, we just talked about it here, is positive, and then times the positive 2 is positive. And so there's your answer. Now, what they may ask you to do is, do that little sketch. Okay, they may have you do the little sketch. So if that's the case, let me just show you for the first one. If you're doing the sketch for it, as we go to infinity, f of x is going to infinity, so that would look like that. Okay, and then as x goes to negative infinity, f of x goes to negative infinity, so that would look like that. So that's what the little sketch would look like, that an end behavior sketch of it. We don't know, we leave it open right here because we don't know what it's doing in the middle. Okay, and then same thing up here for number 2. Look, if we did number 2, we'll do it real quick. As x goes to infinity, f of x goes to negative infinity, so that would look like that. As x goes to negative infinity, f of x goes to positive infinity, and so that one would look like that. Okay, and then for number 3, we'll just do these real quick. As we go to infinity, this goes to negative infinity. As we go to negative infinity, y is going to negative infinity. And then for this one, as we go to infinity, y goes to infinity. And as we go to negative infinity, y goes to infinity. And so that's what a little rough sketch of them would look like. And just leave it open here in the middle because we don't know exactly what it does in the middle. Okay. Alright, so I hope the video helped. Check out my other videos. Give me a like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.